millennia ago, the words were carved in stone. The single greatest gift mankind would ever see. In your image we were cast, not to ever be alone. And you gave us a working world to show your love eternally. Given the precious connection, we have the opportunity. Passing it on, or we will lose it forever. Look into our people, it's you. Look into our people. Take a little time to be a new beginning, or the end of the line. Nice, you guys are great. The merit of generations binds the people to the text. Our ancestors have given their lives for the right to say a prayer. So how is it we're gonna pass this blessing to the next? Well, most of us cannot recall the reason we should care. Quietly stand on the sidelines. Slowly we throw it away. Watching our birthright disappearing forever. Look into our people. Look into our people. Take a little time to be a new beginning, or the end of the line. Chugga chugga dugga dugga. Woo, woo, woo. You put your hands together. Woo, woo, woo. Woo, oh, woo, okay. The merit of generations binds the people to the text. Our ancestors have given their lives for the right to say a prayer. So how is it we're gonna pass this blessing to the next? Well, most of us cannot recall the reason we should care. Quietly stand on the sidelines. Slowly we throw it away. Don't throw it away, man. Watching our birthright disappearing forever. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Look into our people. Look into our people. Take a little time. Take a little time. To be a new beginning. Be a new beginning. Or the end of the line. One more. Look into our people. Look into our people. Look into our mission. Don't deny our children. Don't deny our children. Their beautiful tradition. Watching our birthright disappearing forever. What I'd like to talk about is nothing today, if that's okay. Would you say there's nothing in my hand? Is my hand empty? My hands, are they empty? I appreciate you noticing that. It's a hangnail. So, so there's nothing in my hands, guys? They're packed. My hands are packed. It's an amazing thing when you think about nothing. So we're going to try that a little bit right now. Everyone take a moment, try to think about nothing. It's probably not going so well. Okay? It's really hard to do. Some say it's impossible. Others say you can move to India, fast and be celibate for 12 years to have your first thought of nothing. Okay? It doesn't happen. The human brain thinks thousands of thoughts all the time. They're always couched in space and time. It's almost impossible to think of nothing. Yet, whether you go by science or you go by Torah, everyone seems to hold that before there was something, there was nothing, which we can't even conceive of. It's wild. Like, we can conceive of, like, there was a condensed piece of matter, if you're a big banger. So we can conceive of there was a dense piece of matter. We can conceive that something knocked it into expansion. That we can conceive of. But what preceded the dense piece of matter is totally inconceivable to the human mind. Yet, we all know intuitively that whatever that nothing was probably had something to do with the making of the something. Why? Because nothing makes what? Nothing. Nothing makes nothing, usually. But in this particular case, something came from nothing. So how could we not say that whatever that nothing was made it? You hear that? Physicists totally agree on this. They just don't call it God, because they're physicists. Their job is science, measurements, right? You got to take an instrument and you got to measure it. Tell me, can you measure nothing? Can you measure anything outside of space and time? Also not. That's why they always call it the Big Bang what? Theory, because science ends where space and time begins. I mean, there's still science there, but it's theoretical. You're automatically in the realm of theory, which is cool. Nothing wrong with theory. And when you get to quantum physics, the theories are like so close to Kabbalah, it's scary. It's scary. And shamanism in general there's a Kabbalah, shamanism, and quantum physics they're like bed buddies. You know, they're all connected. So anyway, but before there was something, there was absolutely nothing. And tell me, what's a bigger assumption? That the world made itself from nothing, or that whatever the nothing has made it? What's the bigger assumption? Again, I'll say it, that the world made itself. Something had to make this place. There was nothing before, whether you're science or Torah. There was nothing before. So something made it, okay? So we got two options. It made itself, or whatever the nothing is, which we obviously can't conceive of, had a whole hell of a lot to do with making it. Which one has the bigger assumption? The first one's a massive assumption. To assume the world made itself is a crazy assumption. Especially when you start thinking about cause and effect. Because every effect is because of a previous cause, which is the effect of a previous cause, which is the effect of a previous cause, previous cause. Everything in the entire scientific world as we know it is cause and effect. So why in the world, if we've never ever seen an effect without a previous cause, would we think that the entire world is the effect without a previous cause? In other words, that nothing had to have been the previous cause. You guys with me so far? Nothing has to be. We're doing Kabbalah now, which is my emphasis. That's what I'm here at Ish to teach. So the nothing had to have been the previous cause. If you're trying to limit assumptions, giant assumption is it made itself. Giant assumption. And when you're being intellectual, you want big assumptions or little, if not no assumptions? Yeah, well, little or is none. You want as tiny assumptions as possible. And it is absolutely human common sense that the nothing is what made the something. The whole first couple chapters of the book are all about why, because you got to explain the title. So the first chapters are why God hates religion. But I just want to give you one of them. What are religions often the most guilty of defining? God. Right? When religious people come to the clergy, so they're saying, tell us who God is. And the clergy's like, no problem. God is X, God is Y, God is Z, God is this, you know, telling you who God is. Want to hear something amazing? Judaism is the only tradition of all the world's religions. Judaism is the only tradition that leaves God alone. We don't mess with God. We keep him as a what? Just like the scientists, we keep him as a question mark. We don't know what it is. That's a very mature position to have your life totally aligned to Judaism and Torah and mitzvahs, having no idea who God is, and just letting God be everything and nothing at the same time, total, all possibility, total existence. You hear this? It's very cool. Whereas everyone who gave God identity, have they done God any favors? I mean, if God wanted us to know him as something knowable, he would have let it be known. God didn't let it be known who God is. God's shown us all kinds of ways to relate, but they're chosen. It could be there's a planet in another galaxy somewhere with 18 attributes of mercy. And there could be another planet in some other galaxy somewhere that has no attributes of mercy. Harsh planet. You know, meaning, you understand? They're not him. They're chosen attributes. Why God chose them for us? What's that? He. Yeah, these are, Moses said, like, show me who you are. And God's like, listen, that's not going to happen. Because if anyone sees me, it said, the Torah says, Moses actually says, like, God, he's on Sinai, and he's like, wow, you know, it's amazing. And he's like, God, show me you. And God says to him an amazing line. No man, meaning no person, Adam, no person can see me and live. Why is this? Because he works for the Mossad. If I tell you, I got to kill you. You know, like, what does it mean? No man can see me and live. What it means, no person can see me and live, is the only reason that now we're going to go deep and then we're going to end. The only reason you exist right now is because you can't see it. If you were to see it, you don't exist anymore. You ever seen, you know, the bright knob on your computer screen? You know, today it's a digital button, but you know, you can turn the contrast to the screen. Yeah? So the only reason we have this contrast around us between God, who's projecting creation from whatever this consciousness is, because we're just congealed consciousness in this tremendous holographic ether around us. So the reason you exist right now is because the contrast is very strong between God and the world. You know how to say world in Hebrew? Olam. You know how to say hidden in Hebrew? Olam. It's crazy. The same word for physical world is hidden. Because what God did was put a strong contrast on himself, so to speak, or itself, and now there's a classroom with you in it. What if God were to play with the knob, the bright knob on the screen, and just take less of him or it? We call, you know why we call God him, by the way? You guys know why we call God him? Anyone ever taught you that? This is kind of adults only, but you guys at least, if you left my class with anything, take this away, okay? Take this away with you. You got to use a bit of your adults only imagination here, but he, him, you know, all these male attributes are because Kabbalistically God is causing flow into existence. The masculine, without going too graphic here, guys, causes a flow, okay? And the female Kabbalistically receives that flow. Our entire creation is referred to in the feminine in Torah. And I'll give you another secret, is the commandments that men do that women don't, like tefillin, tzitzis, and all those things, is to feminize us so that we can be in that flow. Because think about it, God's causing flow, the world receives the flow. Women are totally chill with that. Men, on the other hand, you know, are trying to, like, you know, mark every little lamppost and bus bench, you know. They also want to cause all kinds of flow. It's a conflict. And so all those male commandments are basically handicap commandments to help get us more in touch with our feminine side so that we can receive in a relationship with God, so we can be receiving. But in conclusion, just to conclude this, if God were to play with the bright knob on this screen, we would become enveloped in light. Remember, in physics, the whole world's made of light energy, and the Kabbalah tells us the same exact thing. We've taken no leaps here of faith or anything. And we got our God already proven in this class. I don't know if you realize it, but if you listen back on the recording, you'd realize we just completely proved God's existence. But the amazing thing is that we exist because God's messed with the contrast so that we can exist. And if God were to remess with the contrast, we would just fade out of existence.